30, 45 watts.
Peace, family. It's your girl, Shelly AmenSet with SunGoddess Sense, your one-stop natural shop. We are located at 4140 Jonesboro Road, booth 225, inside the Forest Park International Discount Mall in Forest Park, Georgia. Come check us out. You can get your health and beauty items, aromatherapy, skincare, Pan-African apparel, and more. You can reach us at 404-434-7963 or SunGoddess_Sense on IG or SunGoddess.Sense on IG or SunGoddess Sense like page on Facebook. Peace.
Peace, family. Welcome to SunGoddess Chats, Nation Chats, that is. I'm your girl, Shelly AmenSet, and I'm coming to you live and direct from the SunGoddess Sense location at 4140 Jonesboro Road, booth 225 in Forest Park, Georgia, inside the Forest Park International Discount Mall. And we got the incense flowing. It's a joyous occasion. We got my brother Keith Slaughter, the trap pastor, in the building today.
True. I'm up in here.
You in the building today.
You didn't let me know. You want me to flow with you?
Yeah, like, flow with me. Flow with me.
Like how KNS be flowing.
Yeah. Give me a flow.
I got the ability. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sure I know.
Verbal rap ability.
Yeah, you definitely.
Looking absolutely beautiful today.
Ashe, thank you. Likewise.
I feel all right. Glad to be alive. Glad to be here on location at the wonderful epicenter for Black entrepreneurship and business. All things smelling good.
Mm-hmm.
All things.
You got the incense going.
I mean, that's what got me feeling good.
The black butter.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. Black butter.
That's what I'm talking about. And speaking of butter, well, you know me.
I got your scrub.
I always go to the sugar scrub conversation because this is where folks come to get it, right? This is the headquarters for. You know, look here. There are imitators. Okay. There are those who put forward products that can merely ease toward the quality and can never ever grasp a hold of the absolute love and commitment that's put into the product. That's all I use.
Thank you.
That's all I use.
I appreciate that, brother.
And to be absolutely honest, all the scrub was gone. I just had the oil today. I couldn't do nothing but just put the oil
on you.
And just let it, you know, because I finally made it to absolute ground zero.
So you have none. I got some over there.
But I got paper in my pocket.
That's what's up.
You see what I'm saying?
He's gonna get him some sugar scrub today.
And I support Black business. You know what I'm saying? So that's why
we appreciate you.
Yes.
His entire family shows us love, as well as his entire congregation, as well as all of your followers from, WAOK, Keith Slaughter Show, all of that. They support the heck out of myself and Kim Wardo. And we really appreciate y'all for that.
Real. What you was getting too? It was getting too loud for you.
It was just smoky. You know, it's a little too smoky.
Just wafting.
The screen was just smoked up.
Yeah.
So, tell me what you think about the vaccine.
Well, personally, I think that there is just a proliferation of information that's available, and with that comes a certain amount of confusion. As I continue to think through, because I reassess what we're going through as a world, as a country, as a people. I reassess it basically every day because, as I've said and as I've written, and I'm actually working on an article about it now, we are in what is known as the coronavirus era. History will reflect that we walked into another phase of time in March of 2020. And you continue to hear people talk about returning to normal. Well, sisters and brothers, what you knew
is no more.
Is no more. It's not
coming back. Those days are long gone. They not coming back. This is a whole new, and this really is a form of new world order. The way that they just put everything into place. The way that
when we look back on with the benefit of history, when we look back, we'll see this is the line of demarcation. This is when history changed. This is when behaviors, thoughts began to be transformed, and people moved toward a different understanding of themselves and a different understanding of our oppressor. And oppressors the world over are now being exposed. This is another time. So when you ask me what about the vaccine, and I use the word fear. I know a lot of people don't like to use that word, but I'm a psychologist and I'm a theologian and I'm a human being. And what I'm aware of is that people feel something first, then they do something.
Right.
People feel first, then they think. You don't think first and then feel.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Right. So when I say fear, which is something that one feels, I'm coming from a foundational place as a human. And what I have said, and I continue to say, I fear whites because they have a history of being absolutely diabolical. Totally depraved as it relates to violence.
Barbaric,
undisciplined, unprincipled,
thoughtless,
and immoral. And so, if you ain't scared of somebody who got that kind of character background, then something wrong with you. That's not to say that I cower in their presence. What I do is I choose to.
You just know who they are. And what they're capable of, and the history of what they've done.
And I choose to defend myself. I choose to place. I'll choose to always be in a defensive posture when I'm in the presence of people who I know are my enemies. This for me. This is just basic, right? You know, basic human stuff. So I'm afraid of their vaccine. It is not my plan to receive it. I never say what I won't do because I don't never know how they gonna come. You know what I mean? I don't know what they gonna.
The writing is on the wall how they gonna do it, and they already scaring people with, oh, you're gonna have to take it if you want to keep your job. You're gonna have to take it if you want to get this job. You're gonna have to take it if you want to come in here and buy groceries. So I believe that it's definitely gonna get to. It's do or die. Either you're gonna take this vaccine or you just gonna be out here living off the grid.
Unless they tell me I can't drive my vehicle unless I got it, and they see that sounds far-fetched, but they very well might attach to you can't get a driver's license unless you take the vaccine. So
you can't get a driver's license nowadays if you ain't paid your child support. If you ain't, so believe me, that's gonna be probably included in one of the vaccine.
So rules. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know if I just go completely underground, and because I have lived completely underground before. You know what I mean? Totally off the grid.
You see those movies, and it's crazy because when you think about movies like that, where people lived underground because of what was going on in the world. People actually looked like Demolition Man. Remember that movie? How they went underground because they were considered less than. They weren't really even considered real citizens.
Right. Of course. You're
so
right.
they all living underground. And it was just, and you see movies like that, Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and stuff like that.
I got a brother, man. Well, we can deal with The Matrix.
The Matrix. Definitely The Matrix.
Which is a book and a movie that a black woman wrote. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I interviewed her a couple of weeks ago. But it was also a great book by my dear brother. His last name is Rutledge. The name of the book is We the People. and he does like nowadays futuristic treatment of, and this was before the pandemic. It was like he was prophetic. The book talks about a group of black people with a couple other kind of people diversified in there for reading pleasure, I guess. But these people started an underground movement against the oppressors, against the oligarchy, against the autocrats, against those who set themselves up in the hierarchy as being above the common people. And you know, I'm sorry and sad to say it, but there are many blacks who have ascended politically in business spaces and other spaces where others place value on them, they think. Right. And so they believe that they are elevated above the masses of black people. And they tend to side with, make policies that go along with what the oppressor's agenda is.
They don't have our best interests at heart at all.
Further from it, their own is the only interest that they think of. And so, and that works well until they turn on you.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And eventually, that's exactly what happens. Yeah. You know, and
I'm loving the instant.
Oh, thank you. I want to get you some of this.
Get it.
That's the black butter, ladies and gentlemen. The black butter. Okay.
Yes, Lord.
And you know, and I make that in a sugar scrub. I make that in a butter, bath salt, whatever. I use that in a lot of stuff.
You're a very, very talented and creative sister.
Thank you so much.
The fragrances that you create, and just the whole atmosphere that you create around those of us who have the opportunity to be in your presence. It's a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Well, you know, it all comes from love and good vibes. You know what I'm saying? Love and good vibes, positive energy. That's what I pour into my work. You know,
and it comes out. It's it ain't no secret. Even though you think it's a secret, you think that's the secret ingredient, but it ain't no secret.
It ain't no secret. Well, I'm glad that you are pleased with the products, and thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You know what, Shelly? You know, one of the things that I know about you is that you are a lover of hip hop. Whenever I check you and Ken Wardo out, y'all always bumping the dope classic sound. And I guess a few hours ago, the news was released that DMX.
So sad. Yeah, my son sent me a text message of like a little clip from somewhere. And it's just, you know, I thought he was getting better. Somebody said he had woke up the other day or something.
You know, it's some, I think, you know, I think that it bears reflection upon the idea that different people are dealing with living life in this pandemic differently.
Different coping mechanisms.
And some people are not finding themselves not able to cope.
Right.
You know, one thing that they never did when the pandemic came, they shut down a lot of things, but they didn't shut down the liquor store.
They sure did.
They didn't shut it down, and they didn't shut down the dope man either. They just made dope twice as expensive. You know, they just put the tax on it, the pandemic tax on it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's and so clearly people are self-medicating in order to deal with the anxiety, just the feeling of dread. You know, like even if things might be going well, there's a sense in which one feels that shit could go haywire at any moment.
Right.
You know, people who never looked at the news before, make sure they get up and look at the news, because you don't know what the hell may have happened while you were sleeping.
Like things are just like drastically changing daily. Every day is some new stuff. Every day is something new. Like yesterday, the thing that happened with the shooting in Texas and the shooting in North Carolina,
South Carolina.
Just two in the same day.
And
you know,
and even take it back to earlier in the week, you know, or last week, Noah Green, you know, and I've been wanting to deal with I want to deal with Noah Green because we act like Noah Green then knocked off a Capitol policeman, right? And they knocked him off. Now we ain't having a conversation about the comparison between what they did. It was literally thousands of white folks who was responsible for knocking off a white police, Capitol Police, on January the 6th. Right. But they didn't knock none of them off. They sure didn't. Do you see? I mean, and that's a conversation that we ain't having. We're not having that conversation. But you know what I think about those, Shelly? Nick, black people are trained to be afraid to talk about when black people do something revolutionary, right? And we even afraid to view it from a revolutionary perspective. You ain't heard nobody, you ain't seen nobody, you ain't heard nobody. I don't care how blackety black the Negro is. They ain't talking about Noah Green and what it means that Noah Green ran his vehicle into a Capitol Police at the Capitol in the highest level, during the highest level of security that it ever had. And he is being accused, because I ain't seen the video, you know, good and damn well they got video of that. They got video. Why we ain't seen that? Why we ain't seen? They show us, they show them murdering George Floyd 100 times a day. How come we can't see one video of how things went down with Noah Green? You are so right. You know what I'm saying? They say he got out and wielded a knife. Did that happen? Right. We don't know. Was somebody chasing him? Was somebody behind him? And you know it's video of it. It's definitely some footage of what happened. So why we got video of everything else? And that's one of the most videoed places on the face of the planet. But yesterday, the South Carolina shooting, I watched it, and they talked about both incidents back to back. Okay, they talked about Texas. Oh, we don't have any information on the person that was apprehended. Right, in Texas, right. But as soon as they showed that thing about South Carolina, they made sure they showed that black ex-football player, his face. Yeah. They showed his face, they showed his picture. Yeah. And said, oh, well, he committed suicide after he killed him. But why didn't y'all do the same thing with the other story? Because you know the other person was white. Right. Right. You know what I'm saying? But Shelly, from my perspective, I'm looking at, I'm wondering if there's a shift happening among black people, wherein we feel obliged to visit our violent tendencies on our enemies instead of upon our own people. Wouldn't that be a novel concept? That would be a very novel concept. Yeah, that would be. And could it be the reason that they ain't reporting on this like that? Because they really don't want black people to be paying attention to be to that. You know what I mean? We don't want you to feel like it's okay. Every time there's ever been an uprise in power, black power, or just unity, or black people coming together for, you know, revolutionary purposes, revolutionary reasons, and the fight against the injustices and the oppression of ours that they, you know, that's been bestowed upon us. So they always shut it down, and they always seek out somebody and say they're responsible for it. Like they always like what they did with Malcolm X, what they did with Martin Luther King. Find a way to blame somebody black. They want to blame what he said. We don't want a black Messiah. Right. Remember that? That's what Hoover said in that movie. We can't. We don't need a black Messiah. We can't have a black Messiah. They didn't want that because they knew it was powerful. That man was bringing people together to fight against the injustices that was going on. And they didn't want that to happen. So every time something like that happens, they always make sure they shut it down. Yeah, it's this fear, a deep fear that's always been entrenched in the American consciousness since the enslavement of black people. It has been the fear of the black leader, or who is the black person who will have the correct idea that will bring about liberation for the people. That's all. Whoever that is has always been the target. The person that comes with the idea that has the capacity to bring about liberation for the most black people. Whoever that is, you can depend on them getting knocked out. That's why we kind of transitioning in our style and we're not really pushing forward
Leaders.
A leader. Right.
We have several among us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't like just put one or two on a pedestal and say, this is our leader. We have several among us, and we all work together collectively.
Because you're in danger once you get
when you do that.
Named. And that, I mean, that's one of the things. Yeah, I'm very clear. You know, that moniker people have attempted to place that on me at several different times in several different spaces, and I always I'm reticent to accept that, because what I'm clear about is Negroes will set you up, set you out, and then you be hanging out there by yourself. You know what I'm saying?
And
you got to really have an anointing.
When you did it. When you took yourself out the circle. Yeah. I remember when you took yourself out the circle.
Because that's the setup.
The circle, y'all, is at his service, his church on Sundays. We come together in a circle pre-COVID. We would hold hands in a circle, and we would sing and and talk about, sing about liberation and freedom and stuff like that. And he used to stand in the middle of the circle and speak, but he took himself out of the circle because he said, I'm a part of the circle. I don't want nobody to think that I'm bigger than the circle. Yeah. I'm part of the circle too, which is very important. You know what I'm saying? You know what, Shelly, and I wasn't thinking about that in particular, but I'm glad that you saw it, and I'm also glad that you recognize the significance of why you did it,
because it's for me. One part of me was saying, I recognize that God is the center of our circle, and I ain't trying to bump heads with God or who in charge. Right. I know I ain't in charge, but I was trying to help people to understand that all of us got a lane to be in. All of us have something that we contribute around the circle. And, just one of the contributions that I make is one of leadership. But I ain't the center of the enterprise. Right. But the other piece is when you get, you got to be anointed to sit in a space of leadership. You made mention of the Judas. What's the name of the movie?
Judas and the Black Messiah.
And Judas and the Black Messiah movie. Fred Hampton, emerged as the leader, and so synonymous with leadership came being targeted for assassination, which they eventually did. But him, like other leaders, black leaders in that kind of position, were clear from the outset that is what happens. He knew what his end would be. I mean, who thought that they would snuff him out at the age of 21?
At 21. But no, for him to be as the powerful entity that he was at 21.
Yeah, that is amazing.
I wish. Yeah. I had the thought process and the passion in me.
I talked a lot of shit at that age, but I had nowhere near the discipline.
Right. He was disciplined. He was a powerful brother at 21 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and but the fact of the matter is, there are those who are around in our midst presently, but they tend to go under the radar and operate under the radar so that they could be able to survive. And that was also partly what I'm about. Hell, I'm damn near 60 now. They usually don't kill you when you get this old. That's why I wear my white beard all the time, because so the police won't just start shooting the time they put it over. Because when they think you're elderly, and I kind of hump over, when I see them, I be like, I'm old. You know what I'm saying? So folks don't want to kill me as quick. You know what I'm saying? You got to use what you got. You know what I'm saying? I'm rocking this. I'm rocking this gray. You know what I'm saying? Keep people getting killed out here, man. Because these folks be wanting to just. If you young, I mean, think about it. Martin Luther King was 39 when he was assassinated. People could still consider that to be young.
That is young.
You know what I mean?
That is.
What was Malcolm X? Maybe 41, something like that. Medgar Evers had to be in his 30s. And not to mention, and we talking about leadership, but also the black people that whites, particularly police, tend to target for destruction are young black people, young black men, young black women. So I think what that does for us, Sister Shelly, is make it even more important for us to be putting in work, in that we have made it outside of the target range.
Yeah, because we're older, and we're actually, be looked at as elders, wiser, and could actually be, a huge asset in regards to information and just building. And you're correct. I think that they should look more towards our age or older or whatever, because they have targeted, because they know that the longevity that they have in front of them to lead people into freedom and liberation and nation building and all of that stuff. They don't want none of that to happen.
You know what? Yeah, I think the more I think about it, the human tendency, once one reaches a certain age and has children, and their children have children or whatever, the human tendency is to want to be alive as long as possible, because when one knows that they have lived more days than they are going to live, right? But I'm wondering if, as a part of this real structural transmutation, this structural shift in beingness as relates to the context, the environment, the atmosphere that we're living in, and people who are mature people, I'm wondering if the time has not come that we would think differently about our lives, and not see them as something that must be preserved, but see our lives as something that ought to be lived to the fullest, and to make the most change happen, the most development happen, to make the most improvement happen in our community, given the fact that we only have a short time left. If I live 20 years, man, from this very day, I know you'll see a brother dancing every day. If I live 20 years from now, all I'm gonna do is dance every day, no matter what. I'm gonna roll in the floor and I'm gonna dance, and I'm gonna be drinking and smoking and kicking it every day.
Every day.
You know what I'm saying? But right now, even though I'm tired, the reality is that now is the time to work.
Right. It is.
Yeah.
It is.
This is the time in my life that ought to be working. I always, talk to you about this whenever we talk about how proud I am of you for taking your own destiny into your hands, into your own hands. You know what I'm saying? And saying, I'm going to open myself to discover how I can take care of myself without depending on whites to do it.
Right.
I am going to trust black people to take care of me. See, that's how I've lived my life. I'm a professor at the ITC. I'm a service pastor at the Beloved Community Church of Atlanta. I got other little things that I do. Every dime that I get, that I live off of, come from black people. I learned a long time ago. I broke my own rule when I went to work for CBS. I broke my own rule because my rule was I do not depend on white people for me to support my family. I depend on black people for that. Because I do not trust white people to do that.
Right.
And they prove to be untrustworthy.
Because as soon as they give it to you, they'll snatch it from you.
Exactly.
They'll snatch it from you.
You have to be aware of that. You got to be clear about that. And you can't get messed up about it. That don't mess me up. That don't bend me out of shape, because it's not my... I knew a long time ago that I couldn't depend on them to do that. And whenever I was in a position, just like when I would go to that the corporate radio,
WAOK.
whenever I'm talking about every day, the Lord and the camera know I ain't lying. Every day, because I felt offended because I had to use my fingerprint in order to get through the door. I felt violated with that. Everybody to get in and out of there, they got to have the fingerprint, baby.
Really?
Oh, hell to the yes. Oh yes. Oh
yeah,
yes.
It's a highly secure building.
Okay.
That building is like not like they got that much locked up like Fort Knox.
I would feel offended every day when I went in there, starting with that. First of all, I had to drive all the way from my neighborhood up to the white folks' neighborhood to go downtown and do that. I used to hate that part as well because they don't never have to drive no long way to get to where they get their money.
They don't.
You know what I'm saying?
They don't.
But anyway, then the other piece was, so what I would do in order to make myself feel better, every day I went through the door, I opened the door and I throw the damn middle finger up at the camera. If the camera, I swear I ain't lying. I throw the middle finger up at the camera every morning when I walk in there.
And put your finger
6:30 in the morning, I'm walking in, throw the finger up, kick the door open, and then go in there and get to work. But I wanted to, and nobody ever said anything to me about it. But they, they know I was wild in here.
I'm sure they saw it.
You know they saw it. And it wasn't the white folks. Well, I'm sure the white folks got mad, but it make the black people mad when the white folks get mad at you. Why make the black people mad when the white folks get mad at you?
Why you say that to Master?
You gonna get all of us in trouble.
You gonna get us fired.
Can't nobody fire you.
You know what I'm saying? Black supremacy, baby. Black supremacy. This is black supremacy. He doing his own thing, okay? Making his own rules. You know what I'm saying?
The
doing his
movement
own
raw
thing.
and uncut.
The trap pastor.
Naked.
Let's talk about the movement, raw and uncut, and also before we go, let's talk about.
I thought we were just gonna talk for 15 minutes.
We have to talk at least 30 minutes. It's been 30, so we'll talk a few more minutes.
I thought we were just gonna talk 30 minutes.
Also, want to talk about what you're doing for the community. So, let's talk about the movement, raw and uncut.
Okay.
If you are not familiar with the movement, you need to get familiar with it. It's a very, very dope show. And it's on YouTube and Facebook Live and
Black
Instagram.
Man Magic. Black Man Magic.
Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yeah.
And it's a dope show. He has really dope guests, and he always keep you informed and abreast of what's going on in the world.
I think I like to think that even though at this point, I'm speaking to in existence, more fellowship or more people tuning in to the movement Raw and Uncut, which you can find by going to trappastor.com, scrolling down to the bottom of the page and picking the icon, whether it be Facebook Live, whether it be IGTV, Twitch, or YouTube, and you can check out the show each day from 11 to 1, or you can see the archive shows on YouTube whenever you want to look at them. And I invite people to subscribe because I see people subscribe. I'm going to say this on Shelly's show.
Yeah.
I see people subscribe to all kind of stupid ass bullshit. And what we try to do is provide a quality show that I think to be the news show of record for the day. I mean, if you want to know what's happening on the African continent, what's happening among black people nationally, what's happening among black people locally as it relates to the Atlanta metropolitan area, then my show is the show that you need to check out. That's my lane. I'm in that lane, and I do it the way that I do it, and people.
And you go in depth too with the information. You go in depth so that there's no misunderstanding about what it is you are, relaying to your following. And I love that. I love that you because we get the news, but most of the time we get the news, it's been chopped up and dissected, and we don't even know if we're getting the truth. You know what I'm saying? So he's giving us the news from a whole different dynamic Okay, whole different perspective. So, and it's actually news that that has something to do with us.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I really love the show, and thank you so much for our sponsors.
Yes.
SunGoddess, KNS Apparel, myself and Kim Wardo, we are sponsors of the Keith Slaughter.
I feel like Wardo
raw and uncut.
I talk when you eat in between your breasts. Say something else. Say something else. Go ahead. Say something else. I'm with Wardo. Myself and Kim Wardo are also reoccurring guests on the show. Reoccurring. Once a month. That's what Kim Wardo be doing. He's doing the same thing he be doing. I be watching y'all. Y'all are entertaining. I love it. Even the commercial. I just love it. One stop natural shop. I love. And that's how we be in sync with each other when we say that. Your one stop natural shop. You know what I'm talking about. Boy, I love my brother. I love my sister. We love you too. And what we do, and this is what I'm really thankful and appreciative of. We got in some places it's tight, some places it's loose, but what exists, we got a community within the community that exists where we are connected, you know, through these networks that we establish with each other. You know what I mean? And everybody don't think exactly the same about everything, but what we are all sold out on is Black love. We love Black people, and what we are committed to is Black liberation. Black liberation. You know, and so at the end of the day, what I encourage Black people to do is to become a part of some network like this. You know, where you can make sure that your dollar circulate at least 1 or 2 times in your community before you take it over and give it to the people that live on the north side of town. That don't care about your community. You know what I'm saying? No. And the thing about it is, because I look at it basically, there's a sense of morality that is a part of this business. When I look at your products, I ain't gotta look at the label, because I can read and understand everything on the label. There are no 5-syllable, 7-syllable words on there that is some kind of chemical that God knows what it will do to you. Ain't none of that. See, people don't understand. You have to, when you look at some of these labels that you get out of Walmart or Walgreens or whatever, you have to literally Google those words. You can't even pronounce it. And you're scared of it once you find out what it is. Once you find out what it is. You mean I've been putting that on my skin? So you mean I've been eating that? You know what I'm saying? So for me, that's a moral. That's a moral issue. You know, as a theologian, that's a moral issue for me. The fact that people would infuse that which they purport to be healing with toxins. You know what I'm saying? So when I come here and I get my tea, or I get my soap, or I get my shea butter, or I get my soaps, or whatever it is, there is no question whatsoever as to whether or not I'm being inadvertently filled with toxins and poisons. I know that you put that work in to make sure that everything was safe for your people to consume. And I'm not a chemist. You know what I'm saying? But I research everything if I'm making something for someone that is barbecue in it? It's a restaurant in the back. Oh, okay. It smells good though, right? It makes that black. It smell. You can smell it, the incense. But yeah, I think that she might be cooking something back there. It's all barbecue-ish to me. You know it. It smell like barbecue. I love barbecue. Yeah, it can be barbecue squash. It don't make no difference. We can keep it meatless. That charbroiled, that charbroiled taste. Yeah, I like that. That flavor, the mesquite. Yes. You know? All that. You know what I'm saying? Pecan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Walnut and oak. You know? Maple cured. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. That's what we're talking about. Black people invented barbecuing. You know that. You know that. Yeah.
So let's talk about the we'll say this and then we'll go ahead and say bye. But I want to talk about the day shelter. The new.
I'm staying all day. The day shelter.
Yeah,
the little Zion
church, the new addition to the beloved community church.
The little Zion Annex. Let me tell you. So work continues, and I need to say to everybody who was tuned in, whether or not you contributed to the money that we were raising in order to do the renovations on the building that we purchased, whether or not you were able to contribute, I just appreciate everybody who made a contribution to that work. And I need to say flat out right now, what that money that was raised, it went into an account and it hadn't been touched.
From the Facebook-a-thon?
From the Facebook-a-thon. Mm-hmm. What we're about to do is start touching though, because we got to buy. See, what we're doing is we're opening up a day shelter, okay? A day shelter. One of the things that we're aware of is that in the Pittsburgh community, where the beloved community church is located, around now about 45% of the housing is classified as abandoned. But just because the housing is abandoned, classified as abandoned, doesn't mean that it's unoccupied. It just means that the people that live there don't have no lights, they don't have no water, they don't have no gas, they ain't got no garbage pickup, they don't have no nothing, right? They just live in those homes, right? With no electricity, no gas, no nothing. So what we as a congregation decided that if we were going to be relevant in the community, that what we needed to do is see about those who are suffering in the community.
That is phenomenal.
So with that, what we said was, well, what can we do? And just so happened that there was a small church that's right behind our property, and the church, with COVID, it went out of business. Like a lot of churches went out of business. If you ain't, and I'm gonna say this, if you ain't doing nothing for the people except letting them holler on Sunday, you need to go out of business.
Right.
But I ain't saying that was the case with that church. But whatever the cause was, they went out of business. When they went out of business, then the property opened up, and we were able to pull together some funds and purchase it. So now the next step was we had to get a roof on that thing because it was rotting because it was raining inside it. So we had to get a roof on, and then we had to get it rewired. And what we're about to do now is take 10 refrigerators and 5 or 6 freezers down. So before we take them down there, what we got to do is take that 1/4-inch plywood out and put 3/4-inch plywood in for the flooring, right? And then we got to put some flooring on top of the subfloor. So that's what we at now. And as soon as we do that, the showers go in, and then we'll finish the kitchen downstairs and get it up and ready. And what we're gonna do is move our whole food pantry set up down there, and people are going to be able to come. And my goal is, okay, people have a place to come, sit, take a load off. People have a place to come and take a shower, right? Because I said they ain't got no lights, they ain't got no gas, they ain't got no water. People have a place to come.
Get them a meal.
Come charge your cell phone. Come use the phone if you ain't got no cell phone. You know what I'm saying? You could use the address, and what we're gonna set up is a mail station, so people can use the address
to get mail there.
So their mail can come there, and they know that somebody will be there to receive their mail, and ain't nobody gonna steal their check or steal their mail that they've been waiting on. You know what I'm saying? So these are some of the basic services that will be that people will be able to access at the Little Zion Annex of the Beloved Community Church at our day shelter. And so right now, it was just, can I just say, man, Negroes just got tired, and we just worked ourselves to the point where we was just through. So we took a breath, and now we're going to get back on it.
Get back on it, yeah.
And Shelly, speaking of Beloved Community Church, Sunday is our 6th anniversary as a church.
Cookie came in here.
Did she?
the day before yesterday.
This Sister Cookie.
And yep, her and her daughter. Her daughter's in town.
Okay.
She came in with her daughter, and she was telling me that there's the anniversary.
Yeah,
and it's your anniversary too, right?
Well, I mean, hell, I started there when the church started. We started together. Brief snippet of history. I used to pastor a church over in Decatur, like the oldest, most historic Black church in Decatur. And on Easter Sunday of 2015, it became my last Sunday there. Right? So the next Sunday, which was, of course, last Sunday was Easter Sunday. So the following Sunday, the people said, Cookie them and some more folks, they was like, man, we ain't got nobody to preach to us, and it's Sunday. And I was like, well, I don't pastor anymore. I'm out of that game. I'm out of that game. I don't do that no more. And they was like, well, would you at least come preach to us this Sunday? And I went and I preached to them. And then what ended up happening is we end up meeting every damn Sunday after that, and we just ain't never stopped. And out of that came the below community church.
It's an experience. And when I went to Vocal Dialect Monday, there was a young lady there that she's known. Her husband is like the president of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club.
Okay.
And
much respect to the Huey P. Newton
Gun Club.
I ain't in the gun club, but I definitely will.
Shout out to Alyssa and Irie. Alyssa M. Black and Irie Black. She visited your church because me and Kim Wardo be posting it
last Sunday. I knew it was somebody. I didn't say because you can't tell who nobody is because folks have on masks. But I did notice someone, and after church I said, socially distance. Gave the power sign.
She enjoyed herself and she loves the church. And she said, I see you and Kim Wardo posted all the time. So I thought I'd check it out. And I was like, man, it's an experience going to his church. It's an experience. And he just, just the fact that he talks about liberation. He talks about, blackness and just supporting each other. And it's more than it's not just church. You know what I'm saying? It's not, and it's,
I think
it's an
what
experience.
Church has to become
in
order for church to remain relevant.
Right.
I think we just at the cutting edge, and we're kind of out in front of the direction that the church is going to have to go in. If we continue to play, and I argue that your religion or your spirituality, if it has to be ranked as relates to importance to your growth and your development, your survival, that's gonna be number one. I know people like to push it to the side, but your spirituality, your soul. I mean, we are spirits, we are souls, and we don't cease to exist because our spiritual souls leave this body.
Right.
I don't understand all of the esoteric nature of it, but what I'm clear about is that I got a soul.
The energy, and your soul is infinite.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Our souls are infinite.
And they matter.
Our souls existed before they had a body.
No doubt.
So, our souls are infinite.
And they matter.
When the vessel, the vehicle that houses the soul perishes and dissipates and transitions or whatever, the soul still exists. The energy of the soul still lingers on.
Reverend Shelly. Reverend Shelly.
So, don't give me no casket, honey. Just cremate me because my soul is already out there somewhere floating around.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
To be able to come. I want the worms to get their meal in. You know what I mean? Worms been waiting for me for thousands of years.
And that's the main reason why I want to be cremated because I don't want no worms and maggots crawling through me. I just don't.
I'm welcoming the maggots and the worms and shit. Because they're going to go back out and the worms, just think about it. Just think about it. The maggot eats on me, you know what I'm saying? And the maggot then turn into a fly, and then the fly
a trap past the fly.
And then the fly can go over to white folks' house and duke you on their apple pie. You know what I'm saying? And that's me. That's my reincarnation. And I'm going to dump on your apple pie. You know what I'm saying? So
tell them how they can get in touch with you.
6 years. Folks can get at me, trappastor.com. That'll I got some connect through that. Also, Below Community Church ATL is the way to send me email. Or you can just hit me, man. I'm on the Facebook. You know what I'm saying? I get down like that. Just F. Keith Slaughter or the movement with Dr. F. Keith Slaughter or the movement Raw and Uncut. Or you can go to Dr. F. Keith Slaughter. I mean, I got so many. I'm all over the damn place.
Just pull his name up, and all of the platforms will probably just.
You know what I'm saying? I'm out there, man. Google a brother. I'm straight. You can Google-ate me, baby.
Thorough and legit. This is a thorough and legit brother who is for the betterment and empowerment of Black people.
Google a Negro.
He is about unity. He is about building. He is about supporting Black people. Okay? So on that note, I want to thank you for joining me today.
One stop natural shot. I'm talking about word.
Peace, love, and life, family. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next week. Next Friday, Nation Chats with SunGoddess. Okay? Peace, y'all.
This was too much fun. This was too much damn fun.